Hello, welcome to Krafting Kitty. My name is Erin, and I'm getting ready to do the next in our series of Mary Maxim house yarn reviews. So, I've been going through kind of the list of ones that were initially requested. If there is one that you want to see, you can go ahead and just tell me on this video, or go back to the one where it's opening all of Mary Maxim house yarns and mention it there. Just put it down somewhere. If there's one you want to see next, I'll add it to the list, and I'm just going down. So I've been doing these kind of intro videos and then going off to craft with the yarn. I grabbed this one and I totally forgot to do the intro, so I'm already about halfway through the project. My first project with this yarn. So requested was the Mary Maxim Baby Blankie yarn. There you go. This is the yarn they say is a baby blanket in a ball. It is a gigantic ball of yarn. One ball makes a blankie. It's a medium weight for, they suggest 5mm knitting needles. They have no crochet hook recommendation on this yarn. Care instructions: machine wash and dry. Very nice, but it does have that whole wash on gentle for 2 minutes, then dry for 5 minutes, and then dry flat. To me, if that's the instruction, it is not machine washable and dryable. You're still doing the drying by hand. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so the colorway I have here is Bluebells, and this one, I believe, is supposed to have some sort of self-patterning when you create with it. It's made in Turkey, 100% acrylic, 695 yards. It's in a 300 gram ball, which is 10.5 ounces. It is a good size ball. I totally once again forgot to check the price. Let me grab my phone here and do a quick search on this. Come on. Mary Maxim. It's nice that you go to Mary Maxim so often. It preloads when you type MA. Maybe. No, I want to put a search in there. We'll call it Baby Blank. Is it Baby Blankie? Baby Blankie yarn. Okay. Full price. This is $16.99 right now, which is 7/30, so July 30th, 2023. It is on sale for $12.99. That, to me, is a pricier ball of yarn. By comparison, I bought from the Wool Warehouse what I'm using for Fridays with Fred, the Hayfield Bonus Aran Tweed, that I paid £11.99 for a 400 gram ball, which is larger than this ball. You can get, this is smaller than the new Premier Gist yarn. The big balls you can get from Premier.com. It's also smaller. No. Yeah, it is smaller. It's smaller than a Pound of Love, because a Pound of Love is a pound, and that would be around the 4 ounce mark. And this, I'm sorry, 400 ounce mark. This is 300 ounces. So it's smaller than a Pound of Love. It's going to be smaller than a Caron 1 pounder, which are all, oh, it depends on where you buy them. But generally, full price is less than $16.99 on all of that. Initially, my first thoughts are this does feel an awful lot like a Red Heart yarn, like Red Heart Super Saver, which I don't mind using Super Saver, but it is a very similar feel to Super Saver. It's not extra squishy. To me, a Caron 1 pounder, I think, is better feeling than the Red Heart or this. Yeah, so those are just my initial thoughts on this, and we're going to work with it. I'll be back later and see if in using this I see any greater value in this yarn. I mean, maybe the design works up super cute. In those ones I've mentioned, they don't have the self-patterning. So we'll see if that self-patterning is worth it in the end. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out. It's an experiment! Yay! Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye! Hello! Here are my hands. We are back today to talk more about this Mary Maxim baby blankie yarn. So we're going to talk about my experience in using it and what my thoughts are. So this is touted as one ball makes a blankie, and as I talked about before, it is 300 grams, 10.5 ounces, about 695 yards, or 636 meters. Sorry. So remember, this runs $16.99 per ball, full price. Right now it is August 12th, and it is on sale for $12.74. This is a very large ball of self-patterning yarn. Like I said in kind of the intro, I do feel like you can get this same large amount for a much more reasonable price. Now, they are not self-patterning yarns. So our question is the self-patterning worth it? I did complete 3 smaller projects with the yarn, so let's see what I have done. So first, I made a single crochet beanie. Here it is. It's pretty, it's like a toddler size, child size, somewhere in there. But I did it all in single crochets with the idea that these self-patterning yarns are at their best when used in single crochet. You need a smaller stitch that more mimics a knit stitch. So I'm going to be honest here, there is no real example of what you would expect the pattern to look like on that label. There are patterns on MaryMaxim.com using this yarn, so you can find patterns using the yarn. What is that on my screen? Is that my tripod? It is. Oh, sorry, if you're seeing a black bar right there, I'm catching my tripod. Sorry about that. Okay, so work in progress. Work in progress. I did this using an H5mm crochet hook. The yarn has knitting needle suggestions, but no crochet hook instructions or suggestions. It does suggest a 5 knitting needle, so I use the same, a 5mm knitting needle. So I did use the same here. Now, generally in crochet projects, you use the same or a higher crochet hook size. For a 4 weight, I do prefer to use a 5.5mm, but for this purpose, I just stuck with the 5mm. I don't think the pattern would have turned out that much different. What I don't know is what this kind of teal and white section is supposed to look like. These sections here, I know, there's another one down the bottom, sorry, are supposed to be kind of flower. This colorway is called like Bluebell or something. Bluebells, yep. And these up here are just solid, and then there's solid white sections, and then there is a self-patterning blue and white section. Now, because this is at the beginning with all of those increases, I didn't expect that whatever pattern it makes would show up, but it just kind of looks like a busy variegated yarn, and I see nothing floral or, I mean, the colorway is reminiscent of bluebells, but I don't see anything that looks like a flower here. And as I was working with it, I thought I was starting to see some like diagonals or something there, but it never fully developed. So that is what the crochet looks like, just so you know. And then I did knit a project. I made a full knit hat, and I did knit the hat purposely to make sure I got all sections in it. The bottom is 2x2 rib, and we really just had the solid sections, so that, you know, it looks solid, it looks fine. We got kind of a fun, like, at times it went zigzaggy, but it never fully, like, picked one pattern it wanted to do. Now, I did knit this flat and then seamed it together. You can see my seam right here. Would that look different knitted in the round? Maybe, but I figured because this was a baby blanket yarn, or touted as blanket in a ball, you would be expecting to work with it flat. So that's why I made that decision. And then we got this. Now, I am slightly confused, and I'm wondering if the yarn is somehow, I don't know if they have kind of a repeating pattern or not. So I started with the crochet hat. That's where I pulled the yarn from the center. And then went to that. It went to the, like, I don't know, what color blue is that? To a light blue, into a sky blue, into the bluebells, into white, into this kind of tealy, into white, into another floral bluebell section. And then it went, but then it like reversed itself. See how, so then it went back into the light blue, back into the teal. So it like flipped and went this way, but then went back to this light, into this like tealy blue, into this light blue, into the flowers. So, and then flowers, and then this kind of matches up. So I'm kind of confused as to what the actual striping pattern would end up being. Yes, this is slightly cone shaped. I know it's because of the way I did my decreases for the crown. So that's what that looked like. The solids look fine. We're to the flowers, and my decreases didn't start until like the second to last row of flowers. So we do have a couple of good rows here of flowers just knit flat in stockinette stitch. And again, I'm not seeing anything that's too particularly floral. I mean, I think you start to get the idea of stems with some blues off the side, but then here you lose it all. So is that how many stitches I had cast on messing up the pattern, or, you know, what's going on there? I don't know. The white looks fine, and again, we are deep into the decreases here, so I would kind of expect any pattern to get broken up. It kind of looks cool, but I don't get any indication, like here, like what pattern it might have been developing. There you go. So that's a knit hat. And then, out of curiosity, oh, for this one, I was running out of US 8 needles, so I picked this one, the US 8 circular needle Susan Bates Velocity. I used a 29-inch one, and basically that's just what I had, and that's why I knit flat, because it's the wrong circumference to work a knit hat in the round. Generally for a knit hat you want a 16-inch circular needle. Okay, so that's what I used for that hat. I will say, in working up all of these projects, I did encounter a knot, which is not, you know, unusual given the length of the yarn, but I didn't see any imperfections. I didn't see any snags, any like blowouts. The knot was not egregious. It wasn't bad. What I did do was a Tunisian crochet project as well. Here I just got, I don't know that much about Tunisian crochet, so I just got a affordable set I found off of Amazon. I don't remember the brand or anything, but I pulled out the 6mm, I do know it's bamboo, 6mm Tunisian hook and just whip this up. I cast, do you call it cast on in Tunisian? I don't know. But I started with like 20 stitches and I just did Tunisian simple stitch throughout. And here's what you get here. Again, this is a mess. It just looks nothing more than a variegated yarn. I don't get anything flower there. This part did have something weird where there was a bunch of like spots where the yarn looked like it wasn't fully dyed, which was kind of interesting here too. So actually when I started seeing this stuff appear, I thought I was changing to a different color and it never happened. So here's that color, the different shade of blue. Here's what the kind of brighter blue and white section ended up looking like. And then we went back to this, and then we went back to that, and then here again we had the weird blowout where I was really excited because I thought we were going to switch to white and I could seam white on white and kind of disguise that, but that never happened. So I would say there are sections here, and this again I'm thinking just like a little cowl neck warmer, or it fits as like a headband on my head. In all of these, I do not see like a good pattern developing. I'm tempted to take what remains of the ball and, you know, check the website, because I don't think, yeah, there's no pattern on the interior of the label. Check the website, see what they say like the cast on number is, and just knit up a panel and see how it looks. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. But what I will do here for you is a couple of swatches. I'm not going to do a Tunisian crochet swatch. One other thing about the feel of working with this yarn, it feels to me like there's almost a coating on the yarn, like there's a residue or something sticking to my fingers. It's very odd. But it's perfectly average acrylic. One thing I do notice is there is a lot of fuzz off of the yarn, and I found myself, you know, coughing, clearing my throat, having the feeling like I was getting some fiber fuzz in my mouth as I was working on it. So if that is something you are sensitive to, I don't think you would enjoy working with this yarn. If you have sensory issues and don't like when things feel a way that they shouldn't feel, this might not be a great yarn for you. It makes me feel like I have like excess lotion or something on my skin. I can't explain it. So I've just done a row of single crochets, and I'm now working on a row of half double crochets. I can say in my projects I never frogged anything, so we're gonna frog for the first time live on camera. But it is a perfectly standard acrylic yarn. Oops. I would not expect it to have any problems frogging. So I'm giggling here because, as I said, I've had a feeling of some fiber in my mouth. I'm getting that feeling again right now, and I've only worked with this small amount. Now, could something like that be psychological? Absolutely, but you know, it's something I'm experiencing, so I'm going to express it. And at this point, I'll do a double crochet. That was my own mistake, not the yarn's fault. And we'll see. See, I mean, it works perfectly fine. It's, you know, certainly on par, in my opinion, with all of the Red Hearts, you know, Pound of Love, The in my opinion, a Caron 1-pounder is much nicer than this. Caron 1-pounders are nice, generously sized worsted 4-weight yarns. This one, it's a fine 4. It's what you would expect with a Super Saver, or Lime Brim Pounds of Love are a touch thin at times in my opinion. So it's similar to, oops, I missed a loop there, similar to a Pound of Love. Again, I feel like feel-wise, a Caron 1, or the Caron 1-pounder is nicer than this, flat out. It's very similar to the newer Red Hearts. I would say it feels similar to, I quite like the Red Heart Ombres. I think they're pretty soft and softer than the traditional Super Saver. I would say it has about that feeling. I don't know why I'm doing another row of double crochets, but I am. I just got away with talking. And so we'll just, do you want to see like a popcorn stitch? I'll do a quick popcorn stitch. Let's see how that looks. I've gone silent because I'm counting. And I guess, I mean, we're doing it on the Bluebell section, which is the busiest part, the part where I would expect the popcorns to not pop super well. And we'll see how that turns out. I realized in the very first review I did, I was adding an extra stitch after my popcorn stitch. Craziness. I don't know that I actually have to finish this whole row, but I shall. Okay, so here we go. I mean, the popcorn isn't terrible. I think you can see it just fine. The stitch definition is pretty good. My one, I'll frog it here, we'll go super fast and see if it handles it just fine, and it does. I mean, there's no reason to think it wouldn't handle it fine, because it, like I said, it's a pretty standard acrylic. Let me get my knitting needles out super quick while I'm chitter chattering here. I've totally lost my, oh, the value. My one hope in the justification for the price tag of this yarn was that it would be, you know, the self-patterning would be so astonishing that it would be worth the extra value. I am not experiencing that. I'm not saying it wouldn't look absolutely lovely as a baby blanket if you worked the whole ball up. Maybe you do have to follow the pattern and like make sure you cut and start the yarn at a particular color change to get it look to right or something. If that's the case, where's the end of my yarn? Where's the blue thing? No, I don't want the tail, I want the good yarn. Okay, there we go. You know, then you might be able to justify that price tag. To me, it's just, it's not coming through. It's a fine yarn to work with. It, like I said, there's this weird like residue feeling in my hands, but beyond that, I have no problem. The first row in knit is always a little bit bleh. You know, you gotta manage the cast on stitches. And so there we go, there's my first row of the knit stitch coming to an end. It worked. Well, that's my own trouble with my cast on. Smooth as silk. I'm not having problems with the yarn splitting, the little fuzz on it isn't causing me any issues in the actual crafting. I'll do a row of pearls. We'll just work stockinette stitch here for a moment, because I believe that would be, for any self-patterning yarn, that would be how they would expect the pattern to appear. I just kind of think managing the pearl bumps would be hard from a dye point of view. Yeah, so the halo, the fuzz, isn't impeding or impacting my crafting with it at all. I just can, like I said, I can feel it like flying in the air, and I can like feel that some has gotten in my mouth. The residue, whatever it is strange, and I don't know what it is. It doesn't say the yarn's been treated with anything, like it's moth proof, or you know, it's a bio yarn or anything like that. It doesn't say that I have seen. No, it doesn't say anything. Just do not dry clean, made in Turkey. All the usual instructions with their, you know, 2-minute special. It's machine washable, but you can only wash it on delicate for 5 minutes and then dry it. Then dry it for 2 minutes. That's my alarm to tell me it's time to start getting ready for bed. We're ignoring it. Shh. I'll knit a 3rd row here just to see. And if you're curious, I believe these are nickel coated brass circular needles. Oh, there, I split the yarn. They have a pretty dull tip, but they slide nicely. I don't know if it's the yarn feeling or whatnot. I fear, oops, lost my knitting needle. I fear with the kind of fuzz on the yarn that you would have to deal with pilling. Like if you were to knit up a little sweater with this, or even like a well-used blankie would experience some pillage. And that frogged just perfectly fine, no concerns there. The feel of the fabric produced is just, it's fine. It's an acrylic. There is nothing extraordinary about this yarn. So based on based on my criteria here, what do I feel? Frog factor. Frog beautifully, 10 out of 10 for frog factor. The feel, the quality of the fabric produced, it's perfectly fine average. There's nothing unique about it. There's nothing great about it. I'll give it a 5. It's perfectly average. Value for your craft dollar. Honestly, I think it's pretty poor. And I'm, just to be perfectly honest, $16.99 for this? No, I get that they want it to be self-patterning, but I'm not seeing the patterning showing up really at all. I mean, that's kind of nice, but like, what the heck is this? I don't know. I would be much happier taking my $16.99, buying a Karen 1-pounder, and pocketing the extra $5. You know? You'd get a very similar amount of yarn. I don't have a 1-pounder available right now to tell you the exact yardage, but it's very similar. This is 10.5 ounces. You get 16 ounces in the 1-pounder because it's a pound. Joanne has that new pound plus big twist. That would be a better value. The Premier, the new big just yarn Premier things, that's a phenomenal value. That's full price, $6.99. Take your $16.99 and pocket $10 and get that. I think you'd be just as happy. I see nothing special or remarkable about this yarn. So value for craft dollar, I'm gonna give it, I'll give it a 3. I think, I mean, it's a perfectly fine yarn. I think it's well overpriced at $16.99. This coating, like, it feels greasy on my fingers right now. It's so odd. And I didn't put on lotion. I did wash my hands right before coming, just because, you know, you want your hands clean if you're going to show them on camera. So, I mean, I don't think it's ugly. I don't think it's, you know, it wasn't awful to work with. So it's perfectly average, but it's overpriced. So I'm going to dock it 2 points from average and give it a 3. So overall, rating this on a 10-point scale, I mean, you've got a perfectly average product, perfectly average yarn, but for the weird residue on my thing, and I don't think the patterning worked out. I don't want to bag too hard on this, but I mean, the price has got to be a major consideration here. I'm going to give it a 4, a below average because of the price, and it's just nothing special for that price. If you're going to charge that amount, give us something special, Mary Maxim. I'm sorry, this is like the first one I haven't really enjoyed. Let me know if you have worked with this. Have you put together a baby blanket with it? How did the patterning work up for you? Like, I love the idea of a yarn that makes a baby blanket all in its own, and you don't have to do any like color changes or anything fancy, please. But it's gotta work, and this didn't work. And I gotta think, you know, like, oh, you could throw it on your Addie. Well, I basically made, using my 2 hands, I made the stockinette stitch hat that an Addie would make. So, okay. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Have you used it? Would you use it again? Yeah, what do you know? What do you think? What can you tell me? Let me know. I'm curious. I'm always curious. Okay, I shall see you later. Bye-bye.